we go behind the scenes of our Northeast Victorian Solo Art Trail Tour. Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Every Road Catch-Ups, the video podcast that gives you the stories and details behind our adventures. On this Catch-Ups episode, we go behind the scenes of our Northeast Victorian Solo Art Trail Tour. It was the first trip that we took. We started in Benalla, made our way to Girumbat, Devonish, St James, Tungamah, back to Winton Wetlands, and finished our day there. So our first start, we started in Benalla, the home of the Wall-to-Wall Art Festival. Awesome art there. We didn't take any time to see that because we had other things to do. We were aiming our trip on the Solo Art Trail. So we packed up and headed out there. So we took the Shep Road up Tocumwal Road and into Girumbat. And as we come into town at Girumbat there, we first see Jimmy Deviate's work with Millie the Owl and the Ironbark Forest there. Some pretty awesome artwork that he'd done there. Really cool. The Ironbark Forest scene is set out as if, as a replica of the surrounding Ironbark Forest of the Girumbat district. And Millie the Owl is representative of the Australian barking owls that reside in there. So he's linked those together with some really cool artwork. If you notice, there's apparently somewhere in the Millie artwork on the owl, Jimmy Deviate's left his tag in there somewhere, but I can't see it, so maybe you can. Just a bit up the road from that, across the road from the pub, is the viewing platform for the other silo in Girumbat, and that's got the three Clydesdales, Clem, Sam and Banjo, who represent the history of the Clydesdales and what they meant and how they were utilised in the farming community in the Girumbat district throughout the years, which has now since been superseded by obviously tractors and trucks. Some really cool artwork there, really detailed, really realistic. Jimmy Deviate has done some awesome work on that one. From there you can actually start heading back up out towards Devonish. You look into the church and you'll see some work by Adnay, and that's Sophia. Sophia on the back wall of the church. It's a really spiritual mural on there with a dove up in the corner. It is something you really need to go and have a look at. Some really cool art, and as an addition to the solo art in Girumbat. So really enjoying these adventures. It gives us a really good chance to get out there. While you're at it, just go and smash the subscribe button below, so you get up to date and you receive all the content that we put out, so video tips and whatnot. From Girumbat we headed up to Devonish. So if you actually look at the map that the Enjoy Benalla website has, which our trip was inspired by, it directs you from Girumbat to head back out towards Tocumwal Road and up and then into Devonish. Knowing the area a little bit and having grown up out there a bit, so we took the back road, which is a more localised route. Possibly may not be highlighted because it's not as good a road as the Tocumwal Road, but definitely well worth the efforts, and the more traffic gets out there, the better that road will become because they'll be forced to do that, and which is only good for everyone in that community and all the travellers coming through. As you travel through the back routes, and it's all signed, there's signs on there to get to Devonish. You travel through canola fields, farming land and canola fields. What is or used to be canola fields, you can almost guarantee that in yesteryear, back in the day, was wheat fields. So just a sign of how things have changed. As we went through there, the canola was really blossoming, a big sea of yellow. It was really cool to see. Coming to Devonish, and you go past the little playground, which we actually stopped and had some lunch at. You pull up, and just across the road from the pub is the Devonish Grain Silos. Now, Cam Scale has done some amazing artwork there with a military theme, more specific military nurses and the role they played on the first two murals of the silos. You can see he's got a modern day combat nurse ready to pursue her role and her job, and then there is a World War One nurse with a calm look, but they've both got a very calm demeanour, but tackling a very different but similar job at the same time. Really cool to see the evolution of the nurses and what their role is in the military, and that's really highlighted by Cam's work. The next one along is a tribute to the Australian Light Horse. The whole mural scene at the grain silos in Devonish is really militarised, really military themed, which is really cool to see. Trips like this you do get to see and meet different people along the way, especially if you're doing a trail as such. While we were in Devonish, we actually met up with an Englishman who was over visiting family. He hadn't been here. He was from Peterborough. I got talking to him, and he was actually blown away by all the artwork, not only in Benalla itself, but the districts around it. He had told me that they had tried this over in Peterborough in the UK, only to have graffitiists just cover it and tag it and destroy it. So it's really never taken off over there. So actually, Benalla community, it's a real big thumbs up to you that you've been able to keep this artwork alive and presentable for many people to come through and enjoy. So from Devonish, we then continued along to the St. James Township, again through the back roads, not worrying about heading out. We didn't go out to the Tocumwal Road. Again, through the back roads and canola fields, we pulled up to St. James, where local artist Timbo Tal has done some pretty cool work. There's one silo he's depicted an old farm truck, a really old farm truck full of grain bags, wheat bags in the back. Precursing that, there is actually some Clydesdales there providing the work of what was done. So it was a bit of a momentum shift and moving on to the next step. Then we have the move into Sir G.J. Coles. Now, for those who aren't aware, the Coles supermarket chain that we have now actually originated and started in St. James. I'm not an expert on this, but he started, it was a little northeastern stores, branched out to Lake Rowan. He travelled the world to learn his craft. It then grew, and it's now become the Coles supermarket chain that we know now and many of us shop at. And there's even a plaque on the old site of the northeastern stores to commemorate that. But the artwork there, it shows the history of St. James through the ages and what it's become famous for. From there we headed to Tungama, not very far away, short trip up to Tungama in the township of Tungama, turning right at the pub. We head up and you can actually see the silos from a distance. So we came up and had a look at their Brain's work on that. Now, initially it probably wasn't my cup of tea, but that's art, isn't it? With Kookaburra, in the video I called them ibis, they're Brolga. The story why I called them ibis, I'm not a bird expert, so I stuffed up there, but Daniel, we were at Healesville Sanctuary, my son Daniel, he's seen the video, actually got chased by some ibis and was a bit scared, and he saw that and it reminded him of ibis, so he brought that up. And anyway, but what I didn't know at the time was that Sabrain was due back to add to her artwork. So we actually find out later in and came back to Tangama later on to have a look at the additions. So we'll talk about that in a later episode. From Tangama, we then headed out to the Yarrawonga Road, which is not that far. Come back down the Yarrawonga Road back towards Benalla and headed down to the Lake McCowan Road, where we headed out to the Winton Wetlands. We stopped at the McCowan Hub for some afternoon tea, a bit of a bite. Kids had a good old play in the playground there on the Flying Fox and in the softball pit, so that was really cool. Got to meet another lovely couple there who were from Bairnsdale on a bit of a holiday, visiting family. Again, seems to be a common theme. They were up, and pretty much we bumped into this couple a couple of times throughout the day, and we finally got to have a chat to them, and it was really cool to know that they'd come so far to visit the art and arounds, which is a pretty good indication of the drawing card that these artworks have became. So after we'd finished our afternoon tea, we then took off on the road, Lake McCowan Road, about, I think it's 5k up roughly, and turned off. There is signs there. We turned right back in towards the wetlands and headed down there. So we go through, you could see the fish work, the fish art on some dead trees, dead river gums along there. And as you come along, and you'll see in the video if you've watched that, this artwork, as you come along, it's bit by bit, but from a distance and on the right angle, it actually shapes into a fish, which is a really cool image. Fly through there, and there's bird life everywhere, kangaroos. So just take it easy and slowly through there. You'll get to see an amazing amount of wildlife. We then went down to the tank art down there. Now this was the last bit of art that we looked at for the day, and this tank art was really cool. It was done by Guido van Houten. 3 figures just continuously painted around it, and it's awesome. Each figure is a volunteer firefighter in one of the local fire brigades around, and he's actually been able to capture the personal side, the private side, through their eyes and their face and their emotions in that, which has been really cool. In fact, one of the pictures you'll see in the video, it even looks like, if you know concrete water tanks, they tend to leak and crack. It actually looks like one of these cracks is right on one of the eyeballs, and it actually looks like the man is crying. Look, the artwork by Guido van Houten really captures the emotion and the dedication that a volunteer firefighter does go through. That finished our day and our solo trip. This was a very easy trip, easily done in a day. We mid-morning we left and we finished mid-afternoon. So yes, nothing too hard or strenuous. Sealed roads for pretty much all the way, except for once you turn off the McCowan Road into the wetlands. So if you haven't watched the video yet on the Northeast Silo Trail, head up here and go and do so. Do yourself a favour. I've had a lot of great feedback, so go and watch it and leave us your feedback on that. Until next time, keep making tracks on every road.